Hello you guys, excited to talk about Oathsworn Into the Deep Wood, the insert that we've created that's compatible with this game. This is a huge game and the insert is just as big. We're excited to explain how to use it so you can see all of its features, as well as see where everything goes and kind of see some of the details that maybe you've missed, so you can get the most out of this. So to start off the bat, we have with the insert there is lid lift. This still will fit inside of a calyx shelf if you do store with the calyx, but it does create lid lift if you have the miniatures box. Now if you don't get the miniatures box, you'll reduce the lid lift by about an inch, maybe an inch and a half. If you're just using the character trays instead, you cannot use the miniatures box, especially if you don't have the armory. Then it doesn't serve as much as a purpose, but these can go inside instead of the miniatures box, and that will make for less lid lift. And we'll kind of show what to do if you're going to use that option. But that is an option. And then the last option that you can do that we'll highlight is if you want to, we made it so that the miniatures box is fully displayable. So if you'd like to, you can take this out and display it on your shelf. And if you choose to do that and display it on your shelf or hang it like we'll show in a minute, then this lid can go back on and now the box has no lid lift. And everything is still flush inside and should stay in its place. All three of those are a couple options that you could use. You could go with the miniatures box with some lid lift. You could go without the miniatures box for less lid lift. Or if you take it out and use the miniatures box and display it, then you can have no lid lift. So now let's go through the actual miniatures box itself and we'll talk about it and then we'll move back into the other parts of this insert. So this is an optional thing. You don't have to get it if you don't want to get it. But it is a pretty nice way of storing the miniatures with the armory box. And so we'll kind of go through this and show you all the different features that exist in the miniatures box. To start off, down below we have a section that holds your map and holds the map envelopes. So if we take this out, you can see that in this section there is actually a foam lining just to make sure that the map, when you're sliding it in and out, doesn't get scuffed up. You don't want to have scuff marks on your map that you're using. So we did this so that that wouldn't happen. So it is foam protected on the bottom layer, and then the top layer is protected by these, and these shouldn't scuff. So that should keep your map from getting damaged, putting it in and out of this. So these will just go in where you put your map board in first, like this, and it fits perfectly. And then you can take the envelopes and put the envelopes in next, and they should fit just right as well. So nice storage for that, maximizing space. Now next feature before we actually open this thing up is you can on the back of this we left some holes that you can use that will actually allow you to hang this on a wall if you wanted to. So you can display it if you have a gaming room, or you love painting and you love showing off the things that you paint. Just gives you a chance to actually hang it on the wall to display it. If you don't want to hang it on the wall, everything is designed to be able to stand upright. So you still can display everything without hanging it on the wall. Like you could put this on top of a gaming shelf if you have it, or on top of a desk, or just set to the side if you have a gaming table where this game is just set up all the time. You could set this off to the side and display your miniatures. So pretty cool feature using this. Okay, so besides just displaying the miniatures, let's talk about the functions that are inside of the box. So the acrylic front can be removed, allowing you access to everything inside. And we split up the box into a couple different sections to hopefully increase functionality. If you don't need to get to the armory very often, then we tried to make it so that everything that you need is easily accessible just straight up from the top of the box. But these can actually be removed, and that allows you to access the armory beneath. So, which currently right now we're painting the Exile, and so that's why you don't see him here, and his armory items won't be in there either. But you can see that the miniatures can be fully painted, and everything is foam protected, so that when you spend all the time that it takes to paint a miniature, you don't have to worry about that miniature being scuffed. Now that same feature exists if you're using the original character trays, but one added benefit to having this box versus the original is, like you see, we can have some different configurations of the characters, maybe using weapons that we would rather see them equipped with, and they still should fit. Every single weapon configuration should fit. We tried to go through every different scenario of these weapons that the witch has isn't going to touch the Cur's weapons, and vice versa. The only exception to that is the Warbear. The Warbear has a couple configurations that might not be able to fit if put together. For instance, if you use the maul or the stone and chain that the Warbear has, and we can show you, then the top will still fit on, but it will actually press down on the chain, which might lead to it getting damaged. So we wouldn't recommend that. But other than that, every other configuration should work well, and we'll kind of show you how that would work in just a second. So this tray right here holds all the miniatures. Eventually all these will be painted, and we'll probably show those in the future. But for this box right here, this holds everything for the Grove Maiden. So if you're playing her as an encounter, or if you're playing her in the game as a usable character, then instead of having to, go through here and pick out all the different guys that you might need, this is just everything that you need to play with her. And then another fun thing is we made it so that this can actually set on the table upright if you want to do it that way. If it was all painted, then it could be displayed. It could be at the head of the, when you're playing the game, kind of showing it off. Or if you're just using it, you can keep it in front of you and grab out the characters, as you need them, and place them on the board. So a nice way of having everything together for the Grove Maiden. This is everything that you need. And inside of here too, we have some, markings of the character, so you can see who goes where, and it's a little easier to put them away. But that is this box. So these two boxes hold the miniatures for all the playable characters. And then on the bottom of these boxes, I can't flip it upside down or the guys would fall out, but I would show you. On the bottom of these boxes is actually a layer of foam as well, so that these pieces, if they touch the top or jostle around a little bit, are still have foam beneath, foam on the sides, and then foam on the top to keep them protected. Again, so if you paint, or just even being careful of the fact that there's thin parts that could easily break, this should hold everything safely in place. You shouldn't have to worry about things being scratched or things getting broken. So that's everything here. Let's go through the rest of it. This we just did for fun to have some art. So again, if you're displaying, you can have some art from the Oathsworn theme. And then inside of these is going to be more of the armory items for the different characters. And another thing we did just for fun, just in case if you do have them painted, I don't have all of them painted yet, but if you did have everything painted, then you actually can put this beneath on the bottom like that, and then these can go on top. So there's two different options here, but if you wanted to, you could put these on top if everything was painted, and the acrylic will actually go on still in this way too, and you could display everything like that with the armory options if you would rather do that. Or again, if you don't have it painted, or you would just rather have the other aesthetic, then you can have the top of this one instead. And to kind of show you what the bottom of these look like, you can see that there's foam protecting the bottom of this even. So again, completely encased in foam. And then underneath this piece too, foam again. And then underneath this piece as well, foam, and that will protect the Warbear's items that are down below. So everything should be completely protected from getting broken or getting scratched, which as a painter, which I personally am, as a painter, it's really nice to have everything be protected. And I hate, I love the idea of the armory, but it was frustrating to have the armory and then not be able to put them back away in the different configurations you'd like them to have, and have them not fit anymore inside of the original storage solution. So to be able to store them with whatever weapon configuration you'd like them to have is just a fun addition. So let's go through that really quick and give you an example, and we can show you beneath too all of the different places, slots for the armory. So again, the Exile would go here, but it's currently getting painted, so it's not inside this box. And eventually all this will be painted, but you can see we've got the Penitent. So let's take a look at the Penitent, and we could give him just a different weapon configuration. So right now we have a Javelin, but we could remove this and remove his shield and maybe do a configuration with his longer weapons, like the sword. Okay, so this one is actually here. So if we did this, and decided to have the Penitent in this configuration, then we can totally do it. All of this would get put away back into the box like this, and again we should be able to put the top on and it should all close with no problems. So any different configuration that you would like it to be, you should be able to get away with and have them in any weapon that they have. But let's talk about the Warbear for just a second, just so you can see some of the limitations that it has. We'll return the Penitent back to the box here. Okay, so now that we got the Penitent put back together, we can take a look at the Warbear and see if we put the Warbear, let's say the Maul and Chain, which is one of the more difficult configurations to have him in and have him fit. But let's put him together with this and see how it works out. So we made a big recess here, so it should be able to fit inside, but as you can see, it comes up a little bit high here. And so if we put the front on, then it just squishes it. Still, again, it is doable, but wouldn't recommend it just for the safety of potentially breaking it. If you didn't have this back part and you just had the front maul, then it should fit in actually better, because you don't have the back pushing it forward, and then that can fit a little easier. But let's do another configuration. So that one's a little bit limiting on the Warbear. And then let's say if we got his mauls, put them together with this, and put them in the box here. So this is another one that's slightly limiting. The maul in the back can fit, but this maul in the front is just going to put there's going to be some pressure put on it, which will fit, but it's just, you're just going to have to do it at your own risk. So he's the only one that has some potential limitations on what's going to fit inside of the box, but still is doable. and then totally fits just fine with his original weapon, or even with some of these modifications like the maul. Let's see. So still way more freedom to put whatever weapons you want to have on your miniatures than you had with the original clamshell box. The only exception, again, being that the War Bear has some tighter fits. So really love this feature. Love to be able to have them stored however you want them to be. Okay, so let's put this all back together and we will move on to the next step of what exists. So this is a possible add-on. You don't have to have it. For me, I like to have everything together in one box. I don't like to have to get a lot of little boxes. So to have the armory be separate, I didn't like to have to go grab that. So I love this being together. And you do lose some of the height with the box. You do have some lid lift. But again, to me, totally worth it for the functionality that you gain. And then if I really didn't like that, I could always, store this, put away. I could always store this, put away if I wanted to, just on top of the Oathsworn box itself, like that if I wanted to. And then again, there's no lid lift and you still have a separate box, but I would rather just have it all be together in its original box. So let's crack this box back open and we'll go through the next parts of the insert that's compatible with Oathsworn. Okay. I'm just going to fully set these aside just so that there's more room to see what's here. Now for this piece right here, I'll show you with another box or set I have of Oathsworn that's unsleeved and has the standees. But this right here, I have the 3D terrain. So instead of using the stumps, I would rather just I like to paint, and so I would rather use the pieces painted. So I actually took this and shrink wrapped it. So that's why it looks like this here, but I'll use another one to show you guys how this works if you are using them. Because if you're not using them, none of these pieces are actually needed for the game. So there is this stand to hold them if you wanted to set them aside somewhere else, or store them beneath the instructions, or whatever you want to do with them. They are here and they do have nice storage, but let's talk about, for those who are going to use these, how exactly this piece works. So I have this set right here, not shrink wrapped. And so for this one, you can take this off. Underneath you have the different characters that you need. I believe they're called the civilian tokens. And then you can see too that inside of this, there's been light etching into the bottom that helps you to know where to put everything. So you don't have to memorize where everything goes. It'll actually just, between the shaping and the little etching that exists, you can pull these pieces out and you'll see there's some etching here that lets you know that's where this would go. And then the space that's left, that's where the houses would go. And then underneath on the side over here, you've got more of the etching that shows you where the characters go. So all of this can be placed in, very easy access for when you're setting up the game for an encounter if you use this. But just in my case, I don't, because I have the 3D terrain pieces. So set that aside, just wanted to show you guys that. Okay, moving on to the next part of the box. We'll pull this out because this will be the easiest thing to get next. That's why we have this slit here. And inside here, I have these being painted. So let me grab this other set so you guys can see what it looks like with the allies inside. Okay, so this piece is designed to hold the allies in it. So you can actually just take off this acrylic front. And again, if you paint, then this allows you to display them while they're on the table. You can even leave this on, because if you aren't dying, then you don't have any need to use these. So hopefully that's the case. But these can just be placed anywhere on the table while you're playing, and then if you have to get them while you're doing an encounter, you can. And if not, you just leave them stored and then you can put them right away. So again, instead of having to get into the clamshell, having to get those pieces out, they're just right here stored nicely. And inside of here you can see, again, completely surrounded by foam, so they should be totally protected if you do paint them from getting scuffed or scratched. And then outside of getting scuffed or scratched, they should be protected from getting bent or broken while they're in here. So that's the ally box. Set that aside. Then the next box that we can grab out would be a box for the coins. And this would just hold, it's got labeling for the different coins that you have. Now, if you like using the coin purse, you don't have to use this, of course, and you could put the coin purse in here instead. But just when I'm playing, I really would prefer to just be able to grab the exact number that I need so I can play quicker, since I don't have tons of time to be able to play. That's one of the reasons why I love this box, is that it allows for faster setup, faster takedown. So if you have a limited amount of time that you have to play, instead of spending that time looking for things or setting up the game, you're spending that time actually playing the game, which makes the game so much more worth it, that it's actually going to see the table, it's going to be played, versus every time you think, oh, I'd love to play that, but I just don't have the time. So I love the coin bag that they have. I think thematically it's beautiful, but just for ease of grabbing the tokens, it's here. If you want to use the coin bag, obviously you're more than welcome to, but we have a slot for the dice. All of these should be used most often, if not always, in the story phase or the city phase, or whatever you want to call that part of the game. So this you can have out while you're doing that, and then when you move into the encounter, these can just be set aside. You aren't really going to need them. So that's the next box for the coins and for the D12s. And then next we're going to move out. This whole section right here is just going to be space for all of the instruction manuals and narrative manuals and all the different paper products that are bigger that go with the game, as well as mystery envelope number 11. Now there is a space for what's inside of here later, but I won't show you what it is. You'll have to figure it out when you're using the insert. If you want to use it, you can. I just don't want to give away what's inside of here. So this is all here. If you need it, you can just grab it as a big bundle and pull it out, and then we move into the next stage of what's inside this insert. So let's, I'm probably going to scoot this away now. I'll probably pull it up so you guys can keep seeing where things came out of, but we'll try to pull them out so that you can take a look at them and have this be out of the way. But let's talk next about the token holder. It's going to come out right here. So it has an acrylic top as well, so you can see everything inside. You can see what it is. And then the nice thing is, while you're playing, all of these pieces have a clear front or an empty space for the front, so you can actually see what every token is that you need. With the numbers counting backwards, there are 2 layers here, and then we have some of the tokens in the back. We're going to have our wounded token, or I can't remember what this one's called. And then you've got some of the number tokens for the story phase and for some other features in the game that are back here. And then you have your dice that could potentially be used in an encounter or in the story phase or whatever. So they're here, might cubes there. All of this is held together and way more condensed than they came in the other version of the game, which allows for better storage inside of the box. So this is all the status tokens that you need in the game. And another feature, you can't fully see it. Well, here, I'll pull out a section. So if I pull out a section of tokens inside of here, there's actually a little raised edge on either side, so that if you do, one thing I hate with tokens is if they fall, they can be very difficult to get out. So here, actually, if one fell over, there's a slot with a raised edge, so that it's very easy just to get your finger underneath it and pull it up, and it's not going to get stuck in a corner. So just a little feature. Being a board gamer myself, you kind of see some of the things that bother you, and that's always something that bothers me with tokens, is when they get stuck in a corner or in the bottom of a box and you can't get them out. So that's the token tray. And next, let's talk about the dice tray. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole insert right here. So let's go through this. So we'll talk about these two holders in a minute. I'll set these aside. And talk about the dice tray. So I love dice. So personally, when I design this, in any game that has dice, I like to try to build something inside of it that holds things, that has a built-in dice tray. So we made a built-in dice tray for this piece. So when you're rolling dice, it's layered with foam, so when you roll it, there's no noise. Instead of it clanking and making a lot of noise, we have it be silent inside of the foam, which I love. A lot of times I play at night. I have kids, they're sleeping. It's nice if you can be a little bit quieter. But so this is the dice tray for the game. And then the nice thing too is if you are playing and you're passing this around, or if you're not playing solo and you need to move it, it has everything with it. And then if you're going to do a roll and you've got, let's say, a yellow might cube, you know, you can just easily grab whatever the modifiers are. Or if you get an empowered token, you know, to be able to bump up and just grab whatever you need. And instead of them all being in a bag, which I know it comes, if you get the upgrade, you can have a bag that these store in. Again, I don't want to be scooping through to try to find those. And then underneath here too, each of the different sections you can see has the level of the dice, what it's going to go to. So these crit at a 4, that's its highest number, crit at a 3, crit at a 2, and then these have the critical at a 5. A crit at a 5, and it's just labeled down below. So love this, love how functional it is when you play, and love how it looks too. So you can use the dice tray that comes with the game. Obviously you're more than welcome to, and this would just be a holder, but I actually prefer to use this one while I'm playing, just because of the functionality that it gives. So that's the dice tray. We'll talk about the might cards. So for these, a couple things that are kind of fun. If you're playing with these and you have limited table space, then you can actually just put these upright. You can play the game like this, and you don't have to worry about there being as much space taken up with these. Not that they take up a ton of space, but it's kind of a nice way to be able to draw from these as well, and thematically it looks fun. But we did two different artworks. So one is like the city wall, so this is going to be for the Oathsworn drawn cards. Just a little easier to distinguish. The artwork is different on the cards themselves, but sometimes it's easy to mix up which one is which. And so in this case we have the walls of the city on the art, and in this case we have kind of like an overgrown, like the forest is taken over the city to be thematic with the game. So these would be the encounter cards that you have, and these would be the Oathsworn or the Free Companies cards. And then another thing that's nice about these is that they are compatible with sleeved cards. So as you can see, I sleeved all the cards. These cards I sleeved, I believe it's mini euro is the sleeve size, and the mini euro is taller than you need for them. And so on these I trimmed it just to show you guys that if you trim it, then obviously they look more compatible with the actual card size, and they fit just fine. But even if they aren't trimmed and you have the tops still showing, then they still fit just fine inside of these boxes. Another thing you can do to consolidate space if you wanted to is you can actually place them like this, and draw them out this way. And then if you do feel like you're never going to, which I probably will rarely if ever use these cards, you could always remove these cards, put them somewhere else, and then you could have one be the discard pile and one be the draw pile. Whatever you want to do, but these hold all the might cards, and very easy to see which cards you're drawing, and holds them sleeved, and fits really nicely. I love how it fits back into here to consolidate back into the box later. But those are the might cards and might dice right there. Okay, let's bring this back and move into the next thing that we're going to take a look at. So the dash bars are its own thing. You can actually purchase these separately. So I'm going to talk about these after we talk about the other features in the box. So I'm going to set these aside. Love the art on these, but we'll talk more about what these do later. But they all fit inside of here. Totally compatible with the insert. So right here, this box isn't super exciting. This is where something can go, we talked about before, but you have the extra character cardboard that will fit inside of here. If it doesn't all fit because you have maybe more companions or something inside of these boxes, then there is some room down below here if you need it. And then also you have quick access to these tokens that you'd use on the map. So you will need to use these even if you have the 3D terrain. And so we have those just set aside in here, and this can actually just be left in the box. Now if you don't have the box nearby while you're playing, you might want to grab this out in case you need these for the encounter, but otherwise this can be left in the box. And we actually designed this corner on purpose so that you really don't need to get anything out here while you're playing. So you can just leave it in the box, which one thing I really try to do when designing an insert is I try to think about what you're accessing and when. So if it's something that you really don't need that often, then as often as I can, I try to put that at the bottom of the insert because you might never need to get it. Something that I hate sometimes in games that you'll buy is there'll be a lot of parts that are on the very top, and you might not even end up needing any of those, but you have to get them out of the way every time you get into the box. So just try to tuck these away as much as we can. But underneath here, we'll pull this out even though you wouldn't need to. But this is everything that you need for the encounter. So you can just access the dice that you need for the encounter straight out of here. This is a little slot for extra Animus because if you have this insert, then you will also have these boxes. And with these boxes, you don't really need to get to the Animus rarely, if ever, in the game while you're playing. So this just holds your Animus out of the way in the corner, not needed. And then here we built this tab so that when it's down there, you can actually fit your finger in and pull out the encounter board and get the encounter that you need. And when you're not using it, you can just leave it down here and you can still get out whatever you need while it's left down there. So nothing super crazy with that one. It's mainly just function in this case to store everything away. So we do want to get to the cards, but before we get to the cards, let's talk about one of my favorite pieces or parts of this whole insert, and one of my favorite things I think I've ever made for an insert is going to be the time tracker box. So we'll pull this out here and take a look at it. So this is the time tracker. Now, this basically was designed so that everything that you need during the city phase you can use and access right here, and then when you're done with the city phase and you need more table space for the encounter, you can just put this whole thing away and you've pretty much cleaned up the whole city phase. So kind of a functionality thing there. And then also this piece was designed so that its table presence was really beautiful too. And so we'll go through it piece by piece. So first thing is in the back, there's actually a drawer, and inside of this drawer is going to be the tokens that you would use for the witch. So we just made it this way so that if you're playing the witch, you can have this to the side of the character. You can draw the tokens as you need them. But if you're not playing her, then you don't really need this around. You can keep it in the back, but if it's kept in the back, then this won't. This was actually designed to lean at an angle just enough so that when we talk about this piece, you can see that the parts stay in. So I would take this out every time, but you might not need it when you're playing. You don't have to take it out, but I'd recommend it. So This will just be taken out and set aside, and then used if you're using the witch. And then right here, we designed this so that this can just fall down. Now you have all the numbers that you need. You don't have to fish around looking for numbers while you're playing. And then this piece right here actually has a clear acrylic front with holes, so that if we went to, let's say, location 3 while we're playing, you can actually just slot it into the chapter that you're playing. Or let's say you took an extra amount of time at a location, then these are all your time tokens, these are all your numbers. So super easy to find what you need. Saves you a lot of time for setup. I mean, that took us 1 second to have that set up, all the numbers displayed, versus having to fish those all out and find them. And then when you're putting them away, again, it's just really easy. You just push your number in and everything stays intact with the foam holding it in place. So that holds everything for the city phase. And then if you're doing another chapter, I won't show you the other chapters because I don't want to spoil anything, but you can move these, flip them over, and slide the whole thing back in again, and then now you're ready to go for another chapter. So that's the time tracker portion of this. This is the piece that comes if you have the second edition. So that just slots right in there, and then you can put that to mark where your Oathsworn are at on the map. Again, being a part of the city phase, when you're done, you just put it away. And then in here, I've got the Path A, Path B card just on the front. You can place that here, just on the side of the board, or if you want to cover up that, put it there. But this is just in view while you're playing, easy to see if you're on Path A or Path B as you're traveling through. And then in here, now we have, again, purely city phase. We're going to have all of the cards that you need for the events. So those are all in here, sleeved. And if you have the dividers that we sell as well, you can put these in not divided, or you could use a piece of paper to divide them or whatever. Or if you want, we have dividers made for this game that we'll talk about more over here in a second. But you've got dividers dividing the unlocked events. So these are the events that you'd have unlocked and shuffled, ready to be used when you're in the city phase. And then here we have the city events and the Deepwood events separated by this divider. And we'll talk about all the dividers in a minute. But everything you need. And then right here, for once you open this is designed fully functional to help this be more functional when you're using this. I can't talk about what it is. Once you're there, you'll understand, hopefully, how to use this. If you have questions, message us and we can tell you at that point, but don't want to spoil anything now. But this spot right here was designed to increase the functionality of this box too once you get to it. So that's everything that you need for the city phase. So if I finish the city phase, I'm moving on to the encounter, then I just close this up and I can put that away back in the box if I'd like to. But for now, I'm going to set it aside so we can talk about the divider when we get there. So let's talk about the card dividers. So I'll pull this out. We'll talk about this in just a second, but let's talk about the card dividers first. So design these card dividers. The original card dividers for the game you can totally use, but again, I when I'm playing don't have a ton of time to play, and so for me, ease of setup is one of the #1 things that I'm looking for in a game. Quick setup, quick put down. So this has chapter dividers for all of the different chapters, and then these dividers are for the different Oathsworn characters that you can play with. Now I know that it comes with bags, and you can use the bags if you want. They're going to be harder to fit if everything is sleeved, but you can use the bags. I personally hate storing cards in bags. I feel like cards can bend and bags can bend. So if I'm going to try to protect my cards, then I don't want them in a bag. I want them in something solid so that they're protected. But still have ease of finding the different character that you're using. So we've got card dividers that represent the different characters of the game, and it is easy to access them, but you'll almost never need to use this. Again, hopefully if you're not dying, if you're doing a permadeath, then you'll need to use this a lot, potentially if you're dying a lot, but You won't need to get in here a ton. So all of this can just get left in the box. Again, we want you to take out as little as possible so that setup and takedown's faster. So we'll kind of show how we make this easier with this box. This box will always need to get taken out, but this box is everything that you need while you're playing. And that's why it's got thematic art on it of the deep wood. And we'll talk about that, but all the different chapters, each of the divider has what is included in the chapter. Now, with this piece, I had a comment from one person who purchased this, and they made a good point. When I play the game, the unique items, what I'll do is, let me show you. So with the unique items, it says include unique items 1. Now, when you finish the encounter from 1, that's when you would access the unique items. But what we usually do is the next time we play, we go through and we switch out our items that we lost from the encounter and get the new items, because now once we have common items 2, you'll see that we'll take this common items 2 or the items deck from chapter 2 with everything. We got unique items 1, we got the common items 2, and then we have the encounter for the second encounter. We're going to take this and move it over into this box. So now we have common items 2 for playing chapter 2. So it just made more sense for it that way. So if you have the dividers and you're kind of confused, why are the unique items for chapter 1 placed in chapter 2, that was the logic behind it. Now if you don't like that, you're obviously welcome to just bump the unique items back up one section. And if enough people like it the other way, then maybe we'll change these to say it that way. But that's just the way that we play, and I feel like it's pretty efficient. We'll put these back in here, and then the dividers separate them. So another thing too, setting up the game can be kind of confusing, and so these dividers are really nice too, because every single chapter tells you everything as to where it should go. As well as the dividers that we'll talk about here. They'll tell you what should be included in them. And even areas where you get into more confusing things like chapter 11.5 or something like that, to know what goes where. This just helps to clarify that. So this is a really nice storage solution, makes setup and takedown way faster. So we're going to talk about this, and it'll make all of this make even more sense, because there's a lot of functionality here that coincides with this. Just a quick note we wanted to add that we forgot to add into this video is the 3 different options that come with the optional purchase of these card dividers. This one would be an example of the double-sided. So you can see you've got the print on both sides. And then a less expensive option is to have the print on the one side and the other side be blank. And these are acrylic, so they're hard. They're not like paper. Really durable, very high quality. The print is permanently etched in, so it won't scratch away. And then the last example, this is the least expensive option, is actually just a sticker that's been applied. So not quite the same durability that exists here, but if you want a less expensive option, this is our least expensive option for that. So these are the 3 options. Again, you've got the sticker, you've got the single-sided, and then you've got the double-sided. So just wanted to show those really quick. Back to the original video. Let's talk about this box. So inside of here we have a couple different dividers that again can be purchased, and you can put these in with some of the dividers that come with the game. Again, the height is compatible with the original game's dividers, but I love the functionality that these provide, and that's why I created them. I wanted it to be faster to play. So let's talk about the different parts of this. So to start off, I have this set up for encounter 1 just to show you guys so I don't spoil anything, but this is encounter. This would say encounter deck, include the current encounter. So if we were to move on to, let's say, I don't know, chapter 4 or something, then we'd be able to grab the cards from chapter 4. We could take the unique and common items out, and they'll get put somewhere else, which we'll talk about in just a second. But then now we've got encounter cards for chapter 4, those would get placed here, and you're just ready to go. You'd have to shuffle them, but you'd be ready to go for the encounter. You'd have everything that you need. So this is the only box you need out. You don't even need to touch this again potentially for the whole night that you're playing. You'd leave all these in here, and then you would access it at the start when you're setting up. You'd take the old chapter out. You could do that at the end of the night too, but you take the old chapter out, put it into the chapter 1, put it in, then put everything from chapter 2 in here, and then you would play with this, and then when you're done with that, take everything from here, put it back, and so on and so forth. And again, that's why we did the unique items the way that we did, is so that the next day that you go to play, you just take chapter 1 out, put it in there, put chapter 2 in here, and then you get your unique items that you earned. You can put them back away if you want to, but then you also have the current chapter's items in here, and that's usually just how we start. So this is, you would just take, again, this back divider right here says current chapter, so you would take the items, replace them with the items from the previous chapter. So you'd have the unique items and the common items. And that's how that part is set up. So we'll return these to the box really quick and then kind of show you some more of the features of this. Okay, so in here it is a little bit of a tight fit. If you have the if you have everything sleeved, it will get looser as you have allies that get discarded. There's a divider for discarded cards. So as you move through cards that get kind of eliminated from the game, there'll be a little bit more room in here. But for now, again, we have the encounter deck divider, which is going to show you the encounter cards that you have. Now, the front of this, you can actually pull this card out, and you just place this. This would be the top card. So you can have this to the inside of to the side of the encounter board, and instead of having a deck that's laying down, you just do this. This can tell you everything that's going to happen next, which is how the encounters work. And then when you're done with this, behind the encounter deck is the encounter discard card divider. So you just slot that inside of there, and then boom, you're ready for the next card again. So love the functionality of this when you're playing. Makes working through an encounter a little bit easier, and just having that quick setup, and then reduces the table space that's needed. So instead of having a deck for the drawing, a deck for the discarding, taking up a decent amount of space, I think just a discard pile and a deck would be more than the size of this whole box, which gives you access to everything. So love the functionality that exists there. So that's the front, is encounter deck and encounter discard are the first two cards. Then we have a divider that's called the Free Company divider, and this would include the unlocked allies, the backpack, and unlocked items. So this would kind of hold all of your unlocked items in the game. So you can access this if you needed to get to your, you wanted to switch out an item, or let's say you lost an item in the last encounter, and the unlocked items that you got, none of them are what you wanted. This gives you that, and also the unlocked allies. So this is basically like the backpack of the game, but there's more things that go in here than just backpack items. Then in the next slot that we have, this is allies. So this would include all of your locked allies. So this would be all the allies that you might need while you're playing. And I've watched a lot of gameplays of the game, and I've seen people, they have their box set aside while they're playing, and so they'll unlock an ally during the story phase, so then they have to get it out of the box. The nice thing here is that this is just always here and accessible. So if you ever need an ally while you're playing the game during the story phase, you can just grab it right from here quickly. And then the next section, we have the injury cards in the game. Obviously you don't want these, and we have a little bit of humor down below, but don't recommend getting those. We've got the curative cards divider here, and then lastly, we talked about it already, but this is the current chapter. So this is where you would place whatever chapter you're on. All the common items would go in here, and then the encounter cards would go in here. So you're just ready to go with this box. And then when you're done, you can just put it away, And then what we do is just set it up quickly with the new current chapter the next time we play. And that's when we get our items and swap everything out. So super quick with this. I called it the quick setup box because that's kind of what the goal of it is to make it so that it's super fast to set up the game and take down the game. And since it's on the table all the time too, we wanted it to have art that matches the game. And so pretty awesome box. So last part of the insert, we're down to the end here. Last thing that we're going to talk about is these boxes. So let's move into that. So super happy with these. This was the first thing that I designed for the game. I actually didn't have any intention of building an insert for this because the game is so big. I didn't know if I'd have the time to do it. But I designed these, and then once I designed these, I thought, man, I'd really like to have a place to put them inside of the box. I don't want to have to store them separately. And so then I basically built the insert around these, which was the original thing designed. So let's talk about these. So a fun added feature, completely unnecessary but just fun, is that you can actually take these and line them up, and it will kind of show off some of the thematic Oathsworn art. And you can also see from the front of these, you know, your different characters. While your characters might not match the characters that are on the art here, you might know, oh, well, I always play and my box is the witch, or if you're playing 2-player, then I'm these 2 boxes, they're those 2 boxes. So there's art on the front to help you distinguish that. Now, I was debating all these different ways of putting different character art so that you could, depending on which character you have, but instead of doing that, I figured out the idea of, on the back side of these, if you put the cards in, the back side will actually just display from the back of the card which character you're playing as. So in this case, the penitent is inside of here, which is one of the characters we're playing with. That's why he's painted. So he's inside of here. So if I was curious who's inside of here, well, we've got the cur inside of here. So everything is stored, again, with easy access. As you're pulling these out, if you can't remember who has what from this side, you for sure are going to know who has what from this side. So you can give it out to the players that are playing, or if you're playing single-handed, you can line it up in whatever order you're used to playing it with. But it just allows you to know which character is inside and where they are. And these numbers that go around the sides are designed actually to have this thing flipped upside down. So we'll show you that. So if we set these 3 aside and just kind of show you what one of these looks like inside of here, we can actually take this tray, place it on top of that. Another thing that I try to do when I make an insert is that I hate having box lids all over the place. And so for most of my inserts, if possible, I try to have it so that the lids don't take up table space and they aren't set on the floor. I don't want them to get damaged. And so I love having this to where the lid actually just becomes a place that you set your character down on, so it's out of the way, and then it's just easy again. You just pull this out again when you're done and place that back on and you're ready to go. So let's talk about that feature too. So this complication here is designed this way so that this will quick save this. So if I have this set up from a game, I have my health at whatever it was. Let's say that I play the city phase separate from the encounter phase, which would make this even more valuable. I might have lost some health during the city phase, and so this will just lock that in place. I don't have to, every time I set up, I don't have to look for the right tokens that go with my guy. I don't have to get the might cubes out again. I don't have to get Animus out again. I don't have to shuffle through bags that are stored all over in the insert. It's just ready. This has everything that I need, and then tokens can store here. So I would have all the tokens that I need just right off of the bat. So love this quick save function, and it holds everything in place, so you can shake it around, turn it upside down, it doesn't matter, and then when you get it out again, it's just ready to go. So and then if you even had, for some reason, you had to pause your game halfway through and you can't leave things set up and you had to put it away, it'll even save your Animus on the side that you had last used it. So love this function. The might cubes get held in place. These tokens get held in place. I did have a question from somebody as to why this didn't go down all the way. And the reason for that was I wanted the acrylic to be as cleanly cut as possible to not disrupt the art that's behind it. And so I actually just use this design where this circle isn't complete, and that makes it so that this sits at an angle, which makes it really easy to get out again. If it wasn't the case, that would fall down below and then you wouldn't be able to get it out. You'd have to make a cutout here, which would make this side thinner. So it made sense to have it be like this, showing the armor that's here. Now down here, if you had a different regen amount that you'd gained, this has a little slot here for sliding the Animus. So this makes it easier to pick out. And then here, if you change the max Animus, what you'd have to do is just pull this out, and then you can access it that way. But it has a token spot for all those to hold them in place. So again, you can quick save it. And then this design here, I really loved this because sometimes you're not going to pick them up and move them over. So I didn't want this to be solid. I wanted you to be able to slide them if you'd like to. And then obviously if you want to, you can pick them up and move them as well. But just makes it so that they all can be slid easily back and forth. And then the clear acrylic makes it so that hopefully, you're disrupting the art of the character as little as possible, showing the beautiful artwork that they have for this game. And then here we've got, again, a slot, holds the health dice in place, keeps that solid, might cubes, keeps them solid. So underneath this, we'll pull this out. And underneath this, now we have a slot for all the different cards in the game. So on the left, the way that I have this done, you can do it however you'd like. However, this middle section, I highly recommend, again, having the back of the card, because the back of the card is what's going to display whose character is where. And this same concept will be used for the companion version of the character too, which I'll show in just a minute. But this middle one are the cards that I'm currently using. It would be my deck, my hand deck. This would be where the cards go that show off, or not show off. This would be where the cards go that you have for items and some of your reference cards. They would go on this side. And then here you have the unlocked cards versus locked cards. So this could move up and down here, and that would show you what is unlocked versus unlocked. So all the cards fit underneath here. So when you go to play a game, you just pull out your deck of cards. You'd pull out your reference cards and your armor, set that down. You place this back into place where it was, and then this could just go underneath. And then now you've got the numbers here that correlate with the numbers here. So you can place your cards around like that. And then also this is, I don't like to do it this way because I always worry that I'm gonna bend my cards, and having it upright kind of gets in the way of what I'm seeing. But some people like to have their cards slotted, so this actually can work if you want. You can place the cards, and if you have less table space, and let's say you have the other character that's right here next to you, and you don't have table space to place this here, you can put it like this for your cooldown cycling, and then just move it, and again you can just slot it there, and move it around that way if you'd like to. Don't have to, but it has that functionality if you need it. So everything you need for your characters right here. You just put the lid back on and it's totally saved, ready to use. So hope you guys enjoyed seeing what's available for the game, what this insert can do, and also be able to kind of know where things get put away. So just in case you had a question about what goes where, hopefully we went in detail enough with all the different parts of this box to show you where everything goes. Love this game, love the insert. Makes life so much easier for setup and takedown. And now just cause, let's just show you how quickly we can take it down. And then at the end of this, we'll show you a quick speed run of a setup and show you that instead of it taking 30 or 40 minutes to set up, you should be able to set up the game in under 3 minutes. And if you're trying to hurry, which I purposely didn't for the video because I didn't want it to I wanted it to just be realistic if you're just setting it up, but if you hurry, you could probably get it done in a minute and a half or so. But let's put this away just so you can see back, see where everything goes to put it away. And then we'll also have a picture of the armory at the end so that you can see where every item goes and reference that again if you ever need to. But it should be pretty self-explanatory once you've taken something else out where things go to replace it. But let's put everything away, and then we'll do a time lapse of everything getting set up super quick in under 3 minutes. And hope you guys enjoy this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments here. If you guys enjoy these inserts and you have game suggestions that you'd like to see other inserts, feel free to leave that in the comments as well. And if you subscribe, then you'll also see the next inserts that we have coming out. And we'd like to do some gameplay videos too of the different games we have inserts for, so you guys can see them in use. And so that should hopefully be coming out in the future as well. But thanks for watching, and enjoy the time lapse. All right.